If you guys can hear me, please in chat box just say yes or whatever. I had to resort to my phone for some reason. My computer's not wanting to cooperate tonight, so I can see a couple of you guys are in here already. So if you would just hit in the chat box that you can't hear me. All right, guys. So I think you guys can hear me. I hope. I hope. I hope you can hear me. Good. So the big thing I just made tonight, I had a couple guys uh, wanted to talk about kind of farm science or not farm science review, the National Farm show down in Louisville. Kind of Bree and I's kind of time down there, but also I've had a lot of guys kind of questioning what our plans are in the spring. So I thought it'd be good. I've never done a live session, so I figured it'd be good to hear from you guys, kind of what your thoughts are, what you want to ask. So fire the questions away. So if you see me kind of look over, I'm kind of watching from my computer on what your questions are. Not trying to ignore you guys or anything like that. Just kind of, it'll be easier to watch on the computer than try to watch them on my phone. So I know Bree and I, we did, like I said, we went down to Louisville. It's about a 4 hour drive for us. We did swing back to Cincinnati on the way back. I didn't really do much filming. I'm hoping it's something I can do later down there, but we did visit a sports gallery down there, and you guys have kind of seen a little sneak peek of my sports stuff, and picked up another piece that I'm very excited about. It's one that kind of goes back to my childhood, so hopefully, maybe if there's enough interest, I'll do a little bit on my sports collection. I think if you guys have seen, it's mostly Cincinnati Reds stuff, so probably most of you are not really interested in that, but I always enjoy seeing what people have and what they do collect. So what I'm hoping is if there's enough interest in that, I can actually meet up with the owner down in Cincinnati that owns the sports gallery, and kind of show his collection off, because I was very blown away when I went in there. And he has events there all the time of current Reds and former Reds, Hall of Famers, stuff like that. So I'm hoping I can hear from him and kind of get his blessing to go down there. Hi, Noah. But again, like I said, if you guys got questions, hit them with me. Bree's way over there, so if it's a question for her, she can chime in on her response in it. But yeah, any of the farming questions for me, anything like that, please send them out there. Don't be afraid. Like I said, we're getting closer to the season, so like I said, I've had a few guys message me on what our plans are for this year. So I guess I can kind of go into that one. Our plan, I guess, like you said, you guys know, you've seen we have a new, well, was new Versatile, but obviously we have a small planter, 6-row planter. So we are looking for something bigger. We've already went and looked at a John Deere 1790 16-row splitter. It's a little bit big for what we need, but the price was decent. But unfortunately, it did sell. So we did not get there in time for that one. Hello, Unboxed Warehouse. That's a unique name. But yeah, back to the 1790. So we're looking for something to run kind of a splitter. That way we can get rid of both the current planter we have, and drill we have. I think that'd just be easier on the guy I farm with and myself. That way, one of us isn't in the corn planter, one of us is in the bean planter, and we both need seed, and we're locked where we're at. So that's kind of the current situation we're in. We have gotcha, funniest product reviews. I see. I'll have to check that out. That'll be interesting. I do like product reviews, so I will be sure to check your page out. I lost my train of thought there. Oh, so yeah, like I said, with running both planters, we have landlocked ourselves and had to wait for somebody to come pick us up before we can get seeds. So that's our current thought, is looking into Kinsey, looking into deer. We do have a lot of experience with case planters. I'm not really wild on Case's covering system of closing the trench back up, and especially in no-till situation, I just haven't. I've run a 1240 16 row splitter, so 31 row soybean planter, and just didn't have the best of luck. Now, granted, the thing wasn't set up for no-till by any means. It just got in some tough situations, but I was hoping that big and heavy of a planter, it would have been better. Any plans for any crops besides soy and corn beans? Really, around here, it's corn and soybeans. Wheat's died off a lot for farmers. I do live about 2 miles from, if you've seen my previous videos of the muck, where they do grow carrots. So one of my goals for this year is, hopefully when they are cutting carrots or harvesting carrots, I do know a couple of the guys that work there that maybe I can swing out there and kind of show that video or show that process for those guys. But for us, we're dabbling more into cover crops. So if that interests you at all, you'll see a little bit more cover crops from us on just kind of the fall going into that. But we were looking to no-till more. But one thing, for us with no-till is we have to have the planter set up for it. And right now I think our John Deere 750 drill will do fine into it. I don't believe our corn planter is heavy enough to handle no-till, especially with residue on top of it. So as far as other crops for production, no. Cover crops, yes. So you'll see a little more videos on that stuff. Especially, like I said, coming in the spring, we do have, I want to say, 200 acres of cover crops out. So you'll really see our progression on. We'll probably leave some of it alive. We'll probably kill some of it early, and planning into it of what that's like for us being the first year trying that. Looks like you had a good time in Kentucky. Absolutely, we had a blast. Like I said, I didn't do a lot of video down there just because it was so loud, and just really taking in the moment there. Like I said, that was the first time I've been down there, and I was blown away how big it is. And I should have took my wife's advice when we actually walked in right when it opened up, and did a lot of videoing there when it was kind of calm and not a lot of people around. I didn't. I kind of wanted people moving around, and it got so packed that anytime you try to put your camera or shoot something or talk, there's 30 people in the way, or people are walking in front of you and all that. So I'm hoping, like I said, I got to meet with Mike Less and Zach Johnson, Minnesota Millennial Farmer down there, that I'm hoping they got some better videos. I know Mike's posted a few. I'm looking forward to Zach's coming. But like the later in the afternoon it got, it was so jam-packed with people. I did get to meet Ryan from How Farms Work. Real quick, hi, how you doing? He did have a few people there, so yeah, Zach's like, yeah, Zach actually ran for me. I had to track him down and chase him down. But like I said, I did meet Ryan. It was just a quick kind of how you doing. I didn't waste his time because he had a lot of people in line for him. But we keep going here. How's the card collection along? Well, Zach can tell you, the Minnesota Millennial Farmer can tell you how the card collection is going along. I delivered a lot of Kirby Pucketts to him, so I hope he enjoyed those, and hopefully you got to look through some of those, Zach, because there was a slew of them in there. The card collection, I think we have like 3 boxes left. Mostly it's football left, so we're kind of just going through them as is, but we got through most of it. And we're actively seeking another one. I know my friend of mine that's doing that. He's close to getting one, another one bought. So if that, like I said, if you guys want to see that, I would definitely. I enjoy that. I enjoy cards. I enjoy, like I said, the sports memorabilia, especially on the Reds side. But yes, that palette is almost complete, if you can believe that or not. It's almost been sorted. We've gave a lot of it away. We've had a lot of people have had interest in the area for looking for certain players. So that's when we like I said, I do enjoy that stuff. So let's just look down to the tackle. Time to get away from the farm. Yeah, the farming life. I mean, you're busy. I don't know how else to put that, but you're a busy guy with all the stuff you got going on, especially being a first generation farmer. You can't leave that stuff. In the previous video, like I said, for Bree and I, we don't have cattle, we don't have hogs. The partner that I farm with, he does. He's got 4,800 head, and he can't leave them. So I definitely understand that there's no vacations, there's no real time away. That is your job, and it's one that requires constant attention. So definitely understand what you're saying there. With that process, I mean, you kind of say you're married to it, but being a first generation farmer, like I said, I consider myself first generation farmer. You're going to do what you got to do to make it survive. So I know that it looks like there's a few more guys that have joined in the room. Please, like I said, if you got questions on the farm or what my plans are moving into the spring, please throw them out there. Like I said, I think most of you guys know what my story is, but if you haven't heard my story, please throw it out there. I'll definitely answer as many questions as I can. God, there's guys like you to go down and make videos for me to watch. Well, I'm not an expert at making videos. I like to say there's a lot better guys out there than me. Like I said, the Louisville video there wasn't really much of the farm show. There was a little bit. Like I said, I kind of explained why I didn't do a lot of video down there. It was just really good to meet some fellow YouTubers down there, but really it was just taking the moment in. So, and that's what I enjoy about this process is, I'm really enjoying sharing my adventure with you guys, but also sharing Bree and I's adventure along the way of, buying my grandfather's farm to making it potentially where our home will be and where our children will be raised. And that farm, I believe in close to I'd have to get the exact year, but 2040 will be a Century Farm in Ohio. And if any of you guys are close to Ohio, drove through Ohio, you might have been lucky enough to see that when you get a Century Farm in Ohio, they actually you'll put out in front of your yard, kind of a post and with a big sign that says Ohio Century Farm. So for me, that means a lot. That's something my family started, so that's something that really drives me to keep it in the family, but also make it survive. And kind of like I said, a quick story why it doesn't make sense that I'm driving for a Century Farm in my family, but then I consider myself a first generation farmer. So the quick answer to that is my grandfather farmed, his dad farmed. Basically, my grandfather had 3 children or 3 daughters. None of them farmed, so it kind of skipped a generation. So Bree and I, when my grandfather passed away, Bree and I had to buy that farm. We bought all our equipment. Nothing was given to us to make this dream work. So that's why I kind of named it Farming Dreams. That this is our dream. We've had help along the way, but we've built everything we've had to this point, but we have a long way to go. Like I said, we want to put new barns and build a house up there. So that's kind of why it was named Farming Dreams. And that's kind of the dream I'm on. So that's why I want to show you guys that process of that barn to nothing to our farm, our house, where our children are raised. My dad was an astrophysicist. What did your phone is supposed to? Yeah, good luck with that. That would be some mega shoes to fill there. Let me know how that goes for you. How did you ever come up with the purchase of Versatile Tractor? That's question 4. So the Versatile Tractor, it's an interesting story. Like I said, this is before I knew Mike Less. This is before any of that. We had basically I bought my grandfather's International 5288. That's what we kind of started with. Basically, if anybody has experience with those tractors, the clutch packs in the high, medium, and low have the potential to go bad. Basically, my low went bad, so we had to split the tractor. Hey, there's nothing wrong with making YouTube videos. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure there's probably just the 10 people in there, probably 8 or 9 of them do make videos, so you're not alone in that. But no, the 5288 had to be split. And so how we kind of led to the Versatile is basically got it repaired. it was two-wheel drive. We needed something front-wheel drive, especially for my partner having hog barns. We needed front-wheel drive to get through manure, get through the slop, get through all that hustle and bustle. Two-wheel drive tractor just does not go through manure after it's spread or it's dried a few days to try to incorporate it or work it in. We need to look somewhere else. So that's how the 7120 come in. A neighbor of ours traded into the local dealer. Dealer called and said, "Hey, I know you guys are looking for a front-wheel drive. This is potential. What do you think?" About equal horsepower, but we jumped all over it because obviously an old Magnum with a Cummins motor and front-wheel drive. We love those tractors, so we kind of jumped on and ran it for a year and decided we still 150 horsepower isn't just enough for us or what we want to do, and especially with some of the equipment we have, we need something a little more. So we started looking just what was out there, and we basically found almost, I want to say, the lease deals. I don't know if you guys at the farm have seen some of the lease deals out there last year for Versatile, but they were fairly reasonable. So we made a couple calls, found a dealer out in Indiana, and really liked those guys, and the rest is kind of history there. And then from there on, met Mike Less and got his support, and only living an hour from us and having a regional service tech, that made it easier for us. That any problems we could have, we can call him up if the local dealer's struggling with it. That he's going to be there to support. So we felt real at ease of making that jump from a boxcar Magnum, 91 Magnum to a brand new Versatile. So that's how the Versatile come about. It was just kind of some shopping on the internet one night, looking at some prices, and the rest is history with Weaver Ag out in Wakarusa, Indiana, and Mike Less. So, did you make plans of putting the duals on the front? Yeah. So we just purchased the spacers and the hubs and all that stuff for the front duals. It's kind of funny. My partner just called me yesterday on the price for that. We had a little trouble because the only thing they were offering was white. And if you remember, just a couple years ago, those tractors were red and cream. So that was kind of our dilemma. So, a few more calls. We tracked the yellow down. So I'm not for sure this spring you'll see the duals on it. We still got to buy the tires. But we do have the hubs. We do have the rims. Everything is on the way. So very soon, hopefully by, like I said, at the least, you'll see in fall, when we start fall tillage, that you'll see front duals on that tractor. Let me scroll up here. I think I missed a couple of them. My brother may have controlled consider most when it comes to the farm, Indiana. Yeah, so I mean, if you're trying to be a first generation farmer, do it. That's my best advice. Is, like I said, when all odds are against you, do it. It'll be well worth it. I would rather fail at trying than look back when I'm 40 to 50 years old and say, I wish I would have done that. So that's my best advice with it is, you have to take in your personal side of it, of what your finances, what you can afford to do and stuff like that. But I know I don't want to look back when I'm 50 and say, I wish I would have tried. I wish I wouldn't have worked for a farmer all my life. I wish I was a farmer. I don't want to say that. I want to look back and say, I tried and I failed, but I can live with myself because I tried. So I would definitely chase that dream if that's your dream also. Yeah, I can't either. It's the tractor looks, especially a high horsepower tractor like that, it looks a little goofy without all the front duals on it and stuff like that. But it'll, like I said, down in Louisville, you've seen the black 365 with front duals all the way around, and front suspension, all of that. So that is a sharp tractor. So I'm hoping ours will look halfway decent compared to it. And like I said, hopefully a little bit better ride too, because I don't know, I'll have to take a picture sometime. The front dual was actually, the PSI rating on them is very low. I shouldn't say very low, but looks very low. It's the tires are very squatty with all the front weights on that tractor, so I'm hoping that'll help that out and we don't get any premature wear on those tires. You have goals set for YouTube, how far you want to go with it, and what's your plans in the future to build the channel? YouTube is what it is. you're always going to run. of course, I would love for it to just blow up and be, the #1 channel. I realize I'll probably never be that. Really, this is my way to document the journey. I love looking back, even like, in the spring of the videos we took and how I can improve those and what went well, what didn't go well. Now, I mean, with YouTube, there's always going to be the naysayers, the negative Nellies on here that are, just have to put their input on everything you do, and yeah, that can always be a little frustrating. Especially it's easy to sit behind the keyboard and type the negative stuff, and but if this is something, the farming life, what you do, what I do, we got to learn that there's going to be those people out there, and we can't let that kind of affect what we're doing. So my goals for the channel is always, I guess, I want to be the best I can be. That's how I approach my job outside of here, outside of farming. That's what I want to do farming. So even YouTube, I want to put my best into it. I don't feel the Louisville video was my best video I've ever put out. That frustrates me a little bit because I think I could do better, but I also realize with the footage I had, it's what I had. But as far as growing it, yeah, I want to grow every day with it. But I don't think I'm ever going to be, one of them mega, I'm the man farmer YouTube guys. But I just want to share what I have. I want to share, I think my story is a little bit different. I just want to share what my journey is, and whatever happens, happens. So I guess hopefully that answered that a little bit. So to build the channel in the future, like I said, obviously, I'm going to just progress my what we're doing on the farm, but I want to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of what we're doing, especially when I start knocking barns down, when I start knocking the house down. My farm that I did buy, has some tile problems, so showing you guys that, what old clay tile, a lot of farms now are getting plastic tile. This farm's got old clay tile, and, it blows out, and sometimes it's raining, it's wet, and you got to jump in knee deep of water. I'm sure some of you guys have done that, but that's always fun footage to do. So building the channel, like I said, I'm just going to throw out there the stuff I have. If people subscribe, people subscribe. If they don't, I think I have a core group of guys that I'm friends with, and I've made friends with, that I enjoy all their channels, and I think they enjoy mine, and I'm happy with that. So how many acres did you buy when you started? So we bought 80 and a half. I'm looking at a few more to buy, but that's a little bit down the road. But we took the leap of faith, Bree and I. What was it, 2 years ago, Bree? 3 years ago? Okay. She's asleep, so she ain't answering. So about, I think this will be going on my 3rd year owning it. So 3 years ago, we took the leap of faith that, everything was going to work out, and so we're 3 years into it. But yes, we bought 80 and a half acres, 5 of it's woods, and 2.5 is a house lot with a septic and a couple barns on it. So that's our first farm. Like I said, I'm looking at about 38 and a half more acres, so it'll put me close to 100 with that. But I think that's like 5 acres of woods also. So you got to pick and choose what you take. But like I said, my best advice is you got to know your finances and that stuff. Sometimes it's not the smartest decision to buy, but this is stuff that the deal is good enough that I don't think I can pass it up. And the saying around here from the older farmers, what I hear a lot is ground only comes up once in your lifetime. So you will only see that piece of ground for sale once in your lifetime, if it ever does come up for sale. So I don't know if some of you guys that farm, is that true? I don't know. That's what some of the older guys around here say. So the deal that I got going on for that 30-some acres, I don't think I'll be able to beat. So probably I'm hoping by the end of the year that I will have that in my possession also. How do you manage time between farm and I don't sleep. So not to get, I don't really mention too much of what my off job is. I will say that it is a corporate job. I do have 8 supervisors under me and about 300 employees. That's all I'm really going to say about it. So it's a stressful job. It takes a lot of my time. But also, I will burn a lot of vacation in the spring and fall to get planting and harvest done. So managing the time between is tough. There's not a lot of sleep in the spring and the fall. As you can see, right, I mean, most of the time, about 9 o'clock Eastern time, I'm ready to go to bed because I'm up by 4, 5 o'clock. going into that job. And then, like I said, once spring rolls around, I'll look to manage my time a little bit better, that I can be in the tractor and get this part of my life and farming done. So the best thing is that I don't sleep. There is no management between it. It's a demanding job outside of farming. It's a stressful job outside of farming. But it's rewarding, and it helps pay the bills of farming. Like I said, I can't. 100 acres isn't going to pay my bills, especially with the way prices are right now. So I have to have something that funds it outside of farming, and that job does do it for me. So, but the best answer is I don't sleep. We just roll, and like I said, a lot of you guys at farm, that feeling that you got to do what you got to do with it. So. See, I just worked. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're always going to be the haters and naysayers out there, no matter what you do. I think one guy even put on my Nashville or my Louisville one today. If you come to see the farm or the National Farm Machinery Show, this isn't the video, and it's like, I mean, most of the time, just move on. But it is what it is. People are always going to say something, and like I say, it is what it is. So if you don't like my video, don't like it. I'll try not to lose too much sleep over it. I think the old timer's about right. Yeah, I've heard that from several guys that land only comes up once in your lifetime. I think some people would take that a little too seriously. There have been like a year ago, there were some land prices that went 14, 15,000. And most of that was on, I don't know, the farming life. You can tell me, I don't know what prices are out in your area. Maybe you can throw out a general number, but a lot of guys in that area where that ground's sold, they're under strict management because of an algae problem at a lake. So they have to come up with all these manure plans, all this stuff, and you have to have X amount of acres to spread all this manure. So if you don't have that for what your operation is, you are forced to buy more ground. And so that's just sky's the limit for the ground over there. And I think it's still pretty high. I don't think it's near what that price was. But I think, that's a tough decision to buy 100 acres at 14, 15,000. I would never be able to do that. Sorry, I keep looking over. I'm reading on my computer here. I'm assuming you're renting the top of the. I wish I could afford it right now. No, so renting the 80 acres is what I own now. Obviously, on a loan, I don't have the cash to just here's a wad of cash for 80 acres. The 80 acres though, I do own. It's in my name. It was my grandfather's farm. But I do own that. Bree and I do own that. We do rent some ground. And like I said, you got to know your finances. Wishing to afford it. I think there's a few farmers in the room here that, and I can say I'm one of them that, sometimes the want is a little bit more than the need for some of that stuff. But for us to be able to afford that, like I said, we both work full-time jobs outside of here. It's not possible for us to own ground, to own a versatile tractor, to do that stuff without our outside jobs. That's the way we're going to make farming, is we have to work an outside job. I can't do it any other way. So our jobs mean a lot to us because, me going to work at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning means that I can still pursue my farming dream. So don't give up. Like I said, just because you can't afford it now doesn't mean, a year or two later opportunities won't open for you. So keep plugging away at it. Let me keep scrolling here. So Gabe, just like I said a little bit before, but basically I don't mention too much about my job on here just because it is corporate. They have all the social media stuff, policies, stuff like that. All I will say is I have 8 supervisors underneath of me. 300 employees, so it's a full production business, and that's all I'm really going to say about it. But it is a stressful job. It is a very stressful job. Hey, thanks, Farming Life. It's good to talk to you. Like I said, enjoy your videos. Keep them coming. 1445 underpriced. Yeah, I mean, good land's always going to bring a premium, but like I said, it's hard to compete with guys that have been farming for a while, and they can offset it with ground that's paid off already. So it's hard for younger farmers to compete in that market. Um, but I mean, that's going to be on you whether you think it's overpriced or underpriced. But that's like you said, you got to know what you got to afford. You get into these auctions and guys get into bidding wars, and then later on they say, I don't know. I don't know if that was worth it or not. So, yeah, you got to know. You got to know what you can afford. You got to know what the grounds produce or can produce, and see where it goes. You just have to go to YouTube actually buy the Versatile for you by putting videos on. That's when it gets exciting. Yeah, I mean, if I can get to that point, that would be awesome. But yeah, I'll take every blessing I get. Like I said, like I said, there's what 12 people in this room right now. That means a lot to me that 12 people are even taking time to watch this because we're over a half hour into this. So I do appreciate all you guys that viewed in for this. I didn't know what really to expect from it. So yeah, but maybe one day it'll be big, and like I said, I can they'll buy the Versatile for me. We'll see. I've heard several old timers complain that our generation doesn't go out and buy ground to farm, but they're the first out. But yeah, that is true. So with that said, like I said, being younger farmers, it's hard to afford equipment. It's hard to pay inputs, and it's hard to go compete with. So in our area, ground rent usually runs $200 to $350, and I think that's absurd. So it's hard to pay all these inputs for corn that's $350, and then go on top of that and pay $300 an acre for rent. It's hard, so where do you draw the line at? And that's where I said, you got to know what your inputs are. You got to know what you can afford with this. And like I said, don't get into the mindset that you got to have that ground to farm because, yours will be the first name in the paper on bankruptcy. And that's the hard part though, is, you need the ground to grow. You got to have ground to grow. There's no point in having a tractor if you have no ground to farm. So it's a catch-22. You need it, but if you do it, are you going to make money at the end of the day? And that's where finances plays a real big part of this, and knowing what your inputs are and knowing what you can afford. And where, like I said, if you're like me, what your income is that you can afford to live on versus what you can afford to push into the farm to keep cash flow moving into it. To what degree different people can make different operations work. Absolutely. What works for me doesn't work for you guys. That is absolutely true on what can make different operations work. Like I said, this is just my story. This is what I'm doing. But like I said, I've told you guys that I got to have an outside source. I have to work an outside job to make my farm work. But if you're a sixth generation farmer, if you were born into it, man, I'm so jealous of you because you have the advantage versus me. But that's the world we live in. Everybody's given different opportunities, and for that sixth generation, seventh generation farmer, whatever it is, the opportunities are endless of what you have there. But for, like I said, for Bree and I, what we have to do, I think every year we farm, we've changed something. We're trying to constantly adapt every year, and that's why you've seen even the last year. You've seen the cover crops come in, and we're experimenting with that now. We're experimenting with biologicals now. We're constantly changing every year to be better and grow higher yields, and get that competitive edge versus my neighbor, and make that or hit the end of the year when I know, hey, I'm going to make money this year because I worked hard. I did my homework at the beginning. Can you listen to my song from my channel? Yeah, sure, Trend. I will. I'll check your channel out here after the live stream is done. Are you getting into livestock yourself? I've thought about it. I don't know. Partner does do hogs, like I said. So I do have a little bit general knowledge of hogs. We have the acreage now. The zoning laws are a little bit wacko up there where I bought the farm, but ag, you can slide under. I don't know. So like I said earlier, when you have animals, you are, especially if it's a full production, you especially, the double wide barns around here, you get into 2,400 pigs or head of pigs. You're married to it. With my full-time job outside of here, I'm to work by 5:30. I try to get off by 3:30. So the evenings I can handle. It's the mornings that make it tough. So now I'm gonna have to look up to get into 3, and I just don't. I don't think I'm ready to have a day from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the evening. So I thought about it. It's definitely crossed my mind, especially having the acres to support it. But I don't think for Bree and I not having no kids, nothing like that. Something we want to do here pretty soon is have children. So how to balance an outside job, livestock, and have a family life and farm, I don't know if that's the healthiest decision I can make for myself, for my marriage, for Bree. So thought about it, but nothing in my near future by any means. Heard a story of an 850 Versatile in California that ran 25,000. There's a year without a single breakdown. I want that tractor then. I hope the Versatile we have does that. I would jump for joy if that sucker did that. So, that might be the like the Honda Civic that ran 1,000,000 miles, and they gave you another one. So I hope ours does it. I hope it does 5,000 hours with no problems. But we'll see. You're gonna be fine. You can tell you hard to farm. Yeah, I mean, so the farm, I have a passion for it. Like I said, I wasn't born into it. I kind of got it from my grandfather. I was a professional carpet farmer with the little 164 tractors, and you give me an old carpet and I farm the whole thing. But there come to a point where my dad, my family, I went to college for criminal justice. I have a criminal justice degree and a GIS minor, and I was going to be in the state patrol. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the state patrol in Ohio, and kind of playing baseball in college kind of hurt my ankle. Some things led to another that I couldn't really pursue that dream anymore, or what I was supposed to do, or what I thought I was supposed to do. And when the opportunity presented that I could farm, I took it and I ran with it. And I was gonna say I was 22 years old, so I've been farming some ground since I was 18, but really when I made the decision when I was 22 to chase this dream, that's when it got serious. And that's when you get the family conversations of you don't have anything. How are you just going to go farm? And you got to believe in your heart that you can do it. And 7 years later, I'm still here. I'm still farming. I'm slowly building, though. It's not an easy process, but I'm slowly building what my dream is. And I think, like I said, when I get old, 60s and 70s, it's still not going to be complete. It's still going to be a building process that hopefully is something I can hand off to my kids, and they can continue to build it. But that's the first thing is you got to have the heart, you got to have the passion for it, because whatever you're going to do in life, if you don't have the passion for it, you won't give it your best effort. And that's one thing the farming does. It's in my blood, even though, like I said, I wasn't raised on a family farm. It's in my blood. Would be interesting seeing the hog barns on a video if you get a chance. Yeah, so I will get with my partners. I'll see what I know. They kind of are on a little bit of strict orders of what they can show and what they can't. So we will we'll look at what the book says we can show. Maybe we'll break a few rules and put it on there, as long as we don't say any names and where we're at and stuff like that. Probably you've seen a few of the videos with the Versatile. You can see the hog barn in the background, but yeah, we'll see what we can do there. What did you do for cover crop again? So Zach, Minnesota Millennial Farm, we just put down straight rye this year. We didn't get too wild in the cover crop, but we did do a little bit on soybeans. We did a little bit on corn stubble. We worked some of it in. We didn't work some of it in. The stuff we worked in, we actually did spread some and spread manure right on top of it, and that sucker was almost a foot tall before the winter killed it. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like in the spring. I hope it's not a matted down carpet, because that's going to be a pain in my rear of how we get through that. Did it stay green all winter? Did it freeze kill? I would say half and half. We have some that's probably a couple inches that I think still going. I think it's still there. Obviously, it's not growing by any means, but I don't know what to say about the stuff that's a foot tall. I'm going to say it's going to take some damage, but everybody we talk to says, has told us that it's going to be an interesting spring for us with that field. So I don't know whether we spray that one right away to try to kill it off and just let the organic matter grow and then plant into it, or what we do with it. But we did spread it. We spread manure right on top of it right after that, and that within 3 or 4 days, that stuff was coming through and it grew like a carpet. So I don't know what to say what's going to happen with that field. I will definitely, once the spring gets here or it starts getting nicer out, I'll try to put a video out on what that cover crop looks like. Now, most of our fields are only a few inches tall, and so that's where we're going to experiment with leaving some of it green, planting into it, then killing some of it early, planting into it, and see what works best for us. Does your state require a cover crop, or do you think it's just a benefit? So if you're BLC, if you're talking to spread manure, our state lets you have a higher rate if you have a cover crop out. So we usually try to spray on top and then we work it in. We plug all our tiles off, stuff like that. But yeah, if you have a cover crop out, they do allow you to spread a little heavier on. So that's what we went with this year. Do they require a cover crop just for general purposes? No, they don't. Hey Paul, how are you? How many pounds? So we did a little bit of everything, Paul. The spreader we had, what we had it set up for, was the first time definitely wasn't what it was supposed to be. I think the local co-op first recommended 60 to 65, but I'm going to say that sucker spread at 80, and that's part of the problem down there, the one we spread the manure on, because like I said, it come up like wildfire. Now, the other farms we only did at 50, and they look great. Now, talking to a lot of guys and reading from a lot of things, that's a little bit light. So that, like I said, we're all over the board. We're experimenting with everything. But the first spreader we used was definitely not accurate by any means. So like I said, I'll be interested in seeing the spring what that farm turns out to be. So like I said, we're all over the board. This is the first year we did it. We really just wanted to throw it out there and see what we learn and go from there. Thanks, Martin. I appreciate that. Scroll back up here. Empress only said to burn down your rye. Time to mow your yard first time. Yeah, so we've talked to guys all over. Some guys say mow, and there's a local guy in here, Paul Ralston. He'll know some of these guys. I'm not going to reference their name on here, but there's guys in our area that some do burn it down right away. Some wait for it to head out and plant right into it. Yeah, Paul, I don't know. We're all over the place with it. But that's what one of the local guys, and like I said, you probably have a good idea who I'm talking about, that we bought the seed from, just close in that area, recommended to us. The actual local co-op, we know, Paul, there's a few of them in the area, but it's a co-op to the south of us. I think that'll give you a good clue of who it is. Wanted more. They wanted 65 to 70, and it was pretty pricey to put it out. But yeah, we're trying. 50 seemed to be a sweet spot. We'll see what it looks like in the spring, and we can definitely adjust from there. But yeah, like you said, some guys, they burn it down right away. Some guys wait till it heads out and they plant right through it and then burn it down, and it looks like a matted carpet. But beans, corn, they come right through it and they look beautiful. So, but that's why I said, our 6-row planter definitely can't handle that. So that's why we're looking to upgrade planters. It's not going to handle that. It's just too light to handle that kind of stuff. So, gotcha, makes good sense. Planting just in the cover ground until yeah. Our plant is just a cover crop on top of it. Yeah, so we experimented a little bit with, we tilled some ground, spread it on top. We spread it, tilled it in, We spread it, put manure on it. We done every possible combination that we could throw this stuff out on just to see what results we get. Obviously, the spreading it and tilling it, it's going to come up a little bit faster with the seed to soil contact, but we were surprised that the stuff we tilled and just spread it out there, we got the right rains and it did come up, and I have good hope for it in the spring. And then, like I said, with stuff with the manure, it took off like Miracle-Gro and Wildfire. I don't know how we're going to control it. We might have to actually take a bush hog to it just to knock it back. Half a bush of the acre, 30 pounds of the acre. Yeah. So, like I said, that it sounds like 50 is even plenty for what you guys are saying. It sounds like 50 pounds is a little bit actually heavy. So I'll be curious to see what these fields look like in the spring. Maybe we'll just mow them down and sell them for sod or something. I don't know. But like I said, yeah, we're just trying stuff. I think every year that the guy I farm with, we did something different every year, just trying to get better, whether it's playing with cover crops, whether it's biologicals, whether it's spacings, whether it's fertilizer, liquid, whether it's all over side dressing versus spreading urea. We're all over the place with what we do. Like I said, but that's part of us that want to constantly get better. We're constantly going to try stuff. I know Paul that's in the room here, he's constantly trying stuff. So actually, Paul, hopefully, like I said, we can get some videos in the spring here, especially side dressing with your applicator and stuff like that. So, but that's part of it. We're always trying stuff. So, good row cleaners and closing wheels. Also waiting for good conditions. So yeah, that's a good one. Row cleaners. The guys I know that have the row cleaners look like to be pneumatic. I do know some guys with the pins. But like I said, we were coming from conventional, so we never really used row cleaners too much. But now wanting the transition in the minimum tillage and the no-till, that's why I said, our planter does have row cleaners on it, but they're just the pin-up ones. And like I said, it just takes a little more due diligence in doing it, making that transition in the field. But a lot of good bigger farmers around here having the pneumatic ones, they can adjust on the go. And the closing wheels, it seems like everybody's going with a spike closing wheel or some sort of aftermarket rig instead of just the rubber wheels. And that's one, our planter right now has the rubber wheels. So, that was something, if we were going to keep it, I would want to upgrade. But who knows? Like I said, right now we're looking at 1790. That's where we'd like to get to one planter. But also it's heavy enough to do what we wanted to do. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers yet. I know I got to figure it out pretty quick, but we'll see. I just know the planter we have now is not going to do what we want it to do, and and it strictly comes from a weight standpoint. I guess that's where I'm staying with that. I just don't think that planter's heavy enough to handle that ryegrass when it gets thicker. I recommend the SI fingers to closing wheels. They've been great for us. I think, and maybe Paul, if you're still in the room, is that still out of Spencerville? I can't remember. Are they still made over there? Is the factory over there, or whoever is still over there? Is that okay? They are. But you have to go through a distributor to get SI products. So SI stuff is made real close to us. But yeah, I'll have to check them out. I know, obviously, the name brand of Yetter is going to be thrown out there. Martin's going to be thrown out there. Paul, do you have aftermarket on your planter? But yeah, so SI is definitely one we'll look into. Gotcha. But I do know any guys, usually doing no-till or minimum till, they're going to have the spike closing wheels or some sort of aftermarket closing wheel. And there was a lot actually down in the National Farm Show. There's actually even more designs coming out of closing wheels, and even more. Guys are really starting to get into the gauge wheels. Gotcha. The Martins, okay, with spikes with rubber drag chain. Gotcha. I'm seeing a lot of guys going after the gauge wheels. They're coming up with all different designs of that, and they almost you think of the John Deere. I just picture the John Deere big black gauge wheel on there, but now they're almost like they cut it open and just have spokes in it. And it cleans out the mud and all this stuff. So the game's getting really interesting of how much you could add to your planter and how many aftermarket parts you can put on it to make it go through different conditions there. But I think one of the first ones we've seen, where we wanted to look into was Copperhead Ag, where he just kind of put it on. It's kind of let me adjust my fingers starting to hurt here. It's like the half cylinder where you actually put it on the outside of your rubber closing wheel. But no, like I said, down in Louisville, there was numerous people with different stuff for closing wheels, gauge wheels, anything for your planter you could want. Dawn, yeah, I forgot Dawn. Dawn's another one out there that has good stuff. I think anything, if you're no-till, I think it's something. I think every company has something to offer. It's just going to be what your soil types are and what your planter can handle and what kind of support you get with them if you do have a problem. I'm saying no to the conventional corn on corn. I do not like them. Gotcha. Why don't you like conventional corn on corn, Dexter? His ex-Darien, Central Minnesota, his neighbors, they haven't heard of no-till. So I don't know if Zach's probably not in the room anymore, the Minnesota millennial farmer, but so for his area, you can't do no-till. It's so heavy of ground up there, you have to open it up, and that's one. So no-till, they say no-till works everywhere. I argue that a little bit. I think for my area, there's enough guys around here that shown it can be done, and it works well when you manage it well. But for Zach, the Minnesota millennial farmer, that dark dirt up there, they have to open that up. They have to physically get in there to air that soil out to dry it up. So like I said, some places it works. Some places, like I said, I'll agree it doesn't always. It's not always the best option. And I think the farming life, if he was still in there, he would say the same thing. I know he's done no-till for a few times without good success. And I think any guys that do no-till, most guys say, you got to give it 3 to 4 years of commitment to really make it work. But I do understand the guys out there with that heavy, dark soil that, you need to open it up to get some of that moisture out of there and make a nice seed bed for it. My father was about 100 hours east of Zach, and I agree with your statements on that. Okay, so yeah, that Minnesota area, that dark black soil with rocks and all that, you have to open it up for that. Those spikes of being put in a chain had some issues with the rye. That's my concern. Paul is finding that right combination where you're not going to ball that ryegrass up there, especially if it is you have some moisture on top in the ryegrass. That it's not going to look like you're hay baling out there. So I don't know. Like I said, the spring's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for a lot of us on how we handle this stuff, especially the one farm that we spread a little heavy and then put the manure on. I just don't know what to say. Like I said, I know my planter right now, it's not going to handle those conditions at all. There's Minnesota millennial farmer. I was waiting on him to chime in if he was still in the room. If we don't have the soil in the fall, it really does dry out. In the spring, the sandy ground soil from the western reserve didn't seem to work. Zach, do you guys run any spike closing wheels, or do you just have the factory closing wheels on your guys' planter? I'd be curious with that ground type you guys up there of how it works. You guys run the standard closers, gotcha. Root balls in conventional till situations when the Martins they skid. I have air control loss. Gotcha. We have no-till conventional Dawns. Yes. Yeah. So and that's one where we moved to. You guys seen at the Kongskill 9100 vertical till. We ran a 330 case. I think they're a great tool. I think they're heavy built. But the one thing we noticed with the 330 case, especially in the fall, it would leave a lot of, in the spring, for vertical tillage, it would leave a lot of root balls on top of the soil that aren't broke down. and you could say that's with moisture, holding that ball together, whatever it is. But when you run your planter across that, you just see those row units just bouncing up and down, and you're not getting good seed placement, depth wise, and spacing. It's not happening for you there. So we went with the Kongskilde. It seems to do really well for us. It's kind of a one you don't see out there very often. I know to the north of me you'll see a little bit more. Paul, that's the argument out there. That is the argument out there. Now with the Kongskilde, I will say, we can run those gang angles from 0 to I think 16. I think the case I want to say is case 18, or is it even higher than that? I can't remember. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for stopping by. But at least the Kongskilde, we usually run it right on about 4 degrees. So getting a little bit of soil mixture, but also enough to break up those root balls when we need to do a little bit of tillage. I think this fall I ran it right around 4 degrees. But you'll see in the spring, we will run if we do have to run it. In some of the ground we didn't put cover crops on, we will pull that rolling basket with it just to help break down those root balls even more, that the planter will ride smooth across it. We also run standard closing heavy, so yeah. Yeah, sounds Great Plains, so I have to agree with you. Yeah, that's so when you look at Case, Landau, a lot of those machines out there that don't have the adjustable angles on them, you can make that argument that the high-speed disc is running. But it seems like more and more a lot of these dealers are getting into the, if you want to say the European high-speed disc. I know Versatile just released the Fury. Landau has its own thing. It seems like every make has its own thing out there now. But yeah, so that like I said, that argument is out there. At least that's the one thing we like about the Kongskilde is adjustable angle, so we can take it from 0, straight on like a Great Plains turbo till, or like I said, if we got to bury some residue, and make a high-speed disc, we can adjust it to 18 degrees and handle it that way. So any other questions before I end this? We're about an hour into this, and I do have to be up for work at 4:30 in the morning. So hit me with your last questions if you got them. If not, I'll look to maybe in a week. Maybe we can all reconvene and do this again. But yeah, hit me with your last second questions if you got them. I'll give them a couple seconds to pop up here. I got a needy dog here that's he's ready to go to bed. He's not having it. How do I get my 2-year-old to go to bed? Hey, Bree. Zach wants to know how he gets his 2-year-old to go to bed. Bree's clueless too. Zach, we don't have kids. I don't know, man. Maybe you go to bed first and see what happens. I don't know. Is that a bad idea? I don't know. I don't get these short European discs. They have everything. Yeah, I don't know. Never ran one. Never been around one. I know, like down at Farm Show, and if you guys have seen Mike Less's videos, he's got a few on that Versatile Fury. But like I said, I know there's a big farmer in our area. He did have the Landau ones a few times for a few years. I don't know if he still runs them or not. But I wasn't impressed the one year they run them. I mean, it looked like there was more clods, good sized clods left than what actually it helped. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know anybody that runs them. Personally, I don't know really much about them. I guess we'll see what the verdict is on them. But it seems more and more companies are going to them. Does your soil type change much in your area? Are they pretty solid? They change. This area, like I said, the farm I bought, the 80 acres, is about 15, 20 minutes from here, and it's a totally different soil type. It's a little bit higher, a little bit more clay, a little more tough dirt than where I live at home. My home farm's mixed with a little more sandier soil. And Paul, if he's still in the room, he's got some pretty good soil out in the muck where they grow carrots. And that's a very kind of light organic matter soil. So I guess I would say in my area it ranges heavily. Now it's not going to be like Minnesota Millennial Farmer of that soil where we have to open it up in the fall and the spring to get it to even do anything. but it is a wide range of dirts we do battle around here. Speaking of that, I know it just popped in my head that John Deere's just releasing big. We're kind of like variable rate planting. It's going to be like variable rate tillage, where the tillage tool will actually adjust to the soil type. I thought that was interesting down there. I'm not sure how to really incorporate that in my operation yet, because I can't afford that technology yet. But yes, Paul, muck has its challenges. I have definitely, for the previous guy I worked for, we were burying tractors left and right out there. So I definitely know that the muck can be an interesting enemy. But man, it can grow some nice corn when the year's right. Let me scroll up here. Yeah, so Zach, good luck. Let me know when you're a 2-year-old. Shoot me a text on how that works out for you. Like I said, I don't have a good advice for you there on how to handle that. And I can get a sleepy dog to go to bed real quick, but yeah, as far as a 2-year-old, I don't got no answer for you there, man. But yeah, so guys, like I said, I appreciate you all being in here. Like I said, it was only 11. I think it popped up to 15, so there wasn't many of us in here, but it was a good conversation. It was good dialogue of Q&A. So maybe, like I said, if there's enough interest, I'll do it again here in a little bit. Maybe a week or so, we'll do it again, have a little fun. But I do gotta get to bed. I enjoy it, or like I said, I gotta get to work. I gotta be up at 4:30 in the morning. So thank you all for all your questions. Thank you for being interactive. Thank you for joining. I had a blast. But I gotta say good night. I gotta say we'll do it again next time. So thank you guys. See y'all.